Welcome to the Alcohol Reset, the podcast that helps you reset your habits, health, and relationship with alcohol without judgment or extremes. If you're looking to cut back, take a break, or just understand how drinking can affect your body and mind, you're in the right place. Each episode brings you science-backed insights on neuroscience, nutrition, and habit change to help you feel better, sleep deeper, and take control on your terms. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, best-selling author, neuroscience enthusiast, and habit change expert. I've helped thousands through my book and podcast to rethink their drinking, and now I'm here to help you do the same. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty interesting, I think. It's something a lot of us can relate to, right? Having a drink to unwind after a long day, maybe being social with friends. But what we're going to explore today goes a bit deeper, that initial feeling of relaxation. We're going to look at how alcohol actually interacts with our motivation in the long run. That drive we feel, that excitement to pursue our goals, a lot of that comes down to a pretty important brain chemical called dopamine. You can think of it as our brain's "let's get this done" signal. So what we're aiming for today is to understand how alcohol can kind of mess with this signal, this dopamine that ultimately means for our motivation levels, our energy, our ability to get things done. Let's start by zooming in on those short-term effects. You have that first drink, and often there's this pleasant little lift, right? You feel a bit more relaxed, maybe a bit more talkative. That's dopamine doing its thing. Alcohol actually triggers a pretty quick surge of dopamine in the reward center of our brains, and that's what creates that initial buzz. But here's a crucial point. It's not that your brain is suddenly making more dopamine. It's more like alcohol forces this kind of artificial flood of dopamine. Imagine it like overdrawing from your motivation bank account. You get that quick hit, but you're going to have to pay it back later. And what inevitably happens after that initial dopamine flood? Well, a dip, right? That artificial spike is followed by a drop. And to make matters a bit more complex, if you find yourself frequently chasing that alcohol-fueled rush, your brain actually starts producing less dopamine naturally over time. So we've looked at those immediate ups and downs. Now let's connect this to the bigger picture. Long-term motivation. When alcohol becomes a regular part of the picture, a regular habit, it actually starts to change how our brains function at a very fundamental level. One of the major shifts is in dopamine production itself. Our brains are remarkably efficient machines. They try to adjust to those repeated artificial dopamine boosts that alcohol provides by essentially dialing back their own natural dopamine production. Studies have actually shown that individuals who drink regularly can end up with fewer dopamine receptors. Now think of these receptors as the docking stations in your brain where dopamine needs to bind to actually have its effect. Fewer docking stations basically mean the signal needs to be much stronger to achieve that same feeling of joy or motivation. And this can lead to feeling generally unmotivated, sluggish, maybe even emotionally flat, even on days when you're not drinking. But it's not just about the amount of dopamine being produced. Long-term alcohol use can also have an effect on the brain's motivation control center, the prefrontal cortex. This is the area responsible for making decisions, setting goals, and managing those impulses, like resisting that exercise of hate. And research actually suggests that consistent alcohol exposure can weaken this really important area, reducing its activity. So what does this translate to in our daily lives? Well, it can become harder to focus, tougher to resist those impulsive cravings, and sticking to those long-term plans we set for ourselves can feel like an uphill battle. Ever feel that urge to just procrastinate? Alcohol's impact on the prefrontal cortex can definitely play a role there. And there's another interesting layer to this whole puzzle. As our brains become more accustomed to that big dopamine rush from alcohol, other more natural sources of pleasure can start to feel, less exciting. Things that usually give us nice old natural boost, think exercise, quality time with loved ones, diving into a hobby, those can begin to lose their appeal. It can create this sort of loop where drinking almost feels necessary just to feel okay, to reach a baseline level of feeling good. And this, unfortunately, can fuel more cravings and chip away our motivation for those everyday activities that actually contribute to our well-being over the long haul. Those things that truly make a difference. Now, here's the encouraging part. Our brains are incredibly resilient. Dopamine levels aren't permanently fixed. They can change. If you're looking to reclaim that natural drive, that motivation after cutting back on alcohol, there are absolutely effective steps you can take. Let's talk about some natural ways to either dopamine levels a boost. Exercise. It's incredibly powerful. Time and time again, physical activity has been shown to ramp up dopamine production and really lift your mood. It's like a natural mood booster built right in. And getting some sunlight, some natural sunlight exposure is another simple but incredibly effective strategy. Spending time outdoors. even just for a bit, helps regulate dopamine and can really boost your energy levels. And this one might sound a bit surprising, but brief exposure to cold can actually trigger a significant surge in dopamine. Take a quick cold shower or even a short ice bath. It can really sharpen your focus and it can make that motivation. Another really key strategy is to be mindful of those sources of instant gratification and maybe dial them back a bit. Regularly indulging in things like, alcohol, but also endless scrolling on social media or heavily processed junk food, those can kind of hijack our brain's reward system. By consciously reducing these, we can help reset that system, allowing those everyday, more sustainable activities to feel more rewarding again. It's like recalibrating your brain's pleasure settings. Now, beyond these lifestyle changes, there are also some interesting nutrients that can really lend support to our brain health during this process. One is NAC, or N-acetylcysteine. It's an amino acid that plays a role in protecting those all-important dopamine-producing neurons and promoting overall brain recovery. And some research even suggests that NAC can help reduce cravings and improve mood. Then we have vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. This vitamin is absolutely essential for dopamine production and just overall brain function. And here's the thing. Alcohol can actually deplete our thiamine levels, which can contribute to fatigue and that feeling of brain fog. Restoring healthy thiamine levels, on the other hand, can lead to real improvements in our energy and mental clarity. It's like giving your brain the fuel it needs to function at its best. So let's bring it all together. While that initial drink might give us a temporary high by forcing that release of dopamine, the long-term effects of regularly consuming alcohol can genuinely hinder our brain's natural ability to produce dopamine and weaken the very systems that drive our motivation. And this can leave us feeling kind of stuck in a cycle of low energy, brain fog, and a lack of that get-up-and-go spirit. But remember, our brains are remarkably resilient. It is amazing ability to bounce back. By making some adjustments, like reducing alcohol intake, incorporating those natural dopamine-boosting activities like exercise, and spending time in the sunlight, and even considering supportive nutrients like NAC and vitamin B1, we can actively work towards restoring our natural motivation, getting our energy levels back up, and reclaiming that mental clarity. Here's something to consider as we wrap up. Out of all those natural dopamine boosters we talked about, which one feels like it could be a good fit for you right now? Which one resonates? And how might even a small shift in that area, a small step in the right direction, create a ripple effect, positively impacting your overall motivation and sense of well-being? It's something to think about. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor, leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. It helps keep the show going and would mean the world to me. Got ideas, comments, or questions? Shoot me an email at mike@trycloud9.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for extra support, check out Cloud9, makers of Daily Restore, a once-a-day supplement to support your body from alcohol's effects, and Rise and Unwind AM/PM, a 24-hour combo to curb cravings, balance mood, and improve sleep when taking a break. Go to trycloud9.com and use the code PODCAST to save 15% on your next order. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.